Hello, listeners. This is Jesse.
This is Greg.
And you're listening to Spoilers Are Good Actually, a podcast where we revisit some of our favorite shows and look at how knowing the ending affects our experience the second time through.
Today we're watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 1, Chapter 7, Winter Solstice, Part 1, The Spirit World. Now, the format of this podcast, if you haven't been listening to the other 6 episodes before, is that we have a spoiler-free section at the beginning and then a spoiler section after that. You'll have a little musical interlude. It's very nice. Jesse's done a good job with it. We are a podcast named Spoilers Are Good Actually. We encourage you to either try to convince yourself to enjoy spoilers this time around, or watch the entire series and then come back to us and listen to that second half. We don't recommend you listen to only the first half, but to each their own. We're not going to tell you what you have to do.
And one quick content note, Avatar: The Last Airbender is a kid's show, but this is not a kid's podcast. We won't be going into any darker or more mature themes than the show itself does, but we will be using adult language. Overall, just fair warning, our show is probably PG-13.
Okay, first part is we want to have the 10-word summary, right?
Yeah, we can jump right in. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
You go first while I find mine.
Okay.
Oh, you had to find yours too. I'll go first.
I just had to flip my page over.
So did I. First, my 10-word summary is all about the spirit world, plus Iroh's great fun adventure.
I don't know. It sounds like a comic book title.
Yeah. I was really proud of it.
That one's fun. So my 10-word summary is Spirit Journey poses more questions than answers. Zuko chooses family.
Oh, wow. That was impressive. I didn't count the words. I'm just assuming that's 10. It could be more. She's counting right now.
It's 10.
Okay.
It's 10. You made me worry. Like, I counted it when I did it, but then you just...
It's like when you do a haiku and you're like, wait, was that actually 5 then 7? Then let me make sure. No, but this is...
Haikus.
This is a fun episode. It's a good world-building episode. Honestly, it's one of the episodes that I more or less kind of forget because there are just other things that are a little more interesting. But on the first watch through, this is the first time they really introduce the spirit world, right? I think we got suggestions and we talked about like dealing with the spirits. It's the Avatar's like job to be the bridge between the two worlds and all of that. That has come up. They've mentioned it in passing, but they've never explored it until this episode where we have giant panda monster attacking a village for ostensibly no reason. We don't know until the end, and he's upset at the Fire Nation just like everyone else is.
Yeah. So we learn kind of a lot, but also not at all about the spirit world. It establishes it as this, like, parallel realm.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's certainly not anything like a traditional, like, Western, like, heaven, hell, afterlife situation.
Right.
Most importantly, because you don't need to be dead, necessarily, to be in the spirit world.
Yeah. You also can accidentally kind of go into the spirit world, but also walk in areas that are in this world. Aang went back to the village where Katara and Appa were, and they just didn't see him because he was in the spirit world.
Yeah, in this episode, they do seem to just exist in the same space physically, but like in a different, I don't know, like temporal realm.
He was like shifted like one dimension over or something.
Yeah, I'm not good at this like fucking like high physics, multiple dimensions, wormhole theories. Yeah. Like I watched Johnny Darko and that's about it.
Yeah. In case you guys don't know, Jesse's background is art and political science, and my background is biology and law. We don't really know much about this stuff.
And we also learn that you cannot bend in the spirit world.
Yeah, and that's important. That's it's a big thing to learn, that the magic of the world does not work in the magical realm of the magic world. It's a big thing. It seems like it'll be an important plot point moving forward. You can't bend here, so any means of protection that you normally would have are not going to work in the spirit world.
Yeah, and that's a pretty unique world building aspect, at least in what I'm familiar with and things that I've seen and watched. I can't think off the top of my head another example where you have a magic system and there's a magical realm where magic doesn't work.
Yeah, usually when I think about things that cancel out the magic of the world, I think about like counterspell or like fields of like anti-magic in high fantasy D&D type things, where a single person can make a region or area, a specific one, kind of immune to like the traditional magic, and the people have to like think about what they're going to do to get in and out and go around it, but not really like this entire area, this entire effectively a world just doesn't have it at all. You just can't use it. Mm-hmm. So I did like that little aspect of it. There was also the little bit that I don't know how much they really harped on it, but I picked up on it, was that the bridge between the two worlds come closer together during the solstice, you know, and we're bringing some weight to where the sun and moon and earth are relative to each other, and also just when we have these very specific times of year, certain things are happening. So, do you know if this is the winter or summer solstice?
Winter solstice.
Winter solstice.
That's
yeah.
the name of the episode.
Oh, wow! Yeah, it is. I read the words winter solstice at the beginning of this podcast. We even redid that shot so that we could get it. Yeah. So I read the words.
It's only, a 2-part episode arc all about the winter solstice called the Winter Solstice.
All I'm saying is the words winter solstice went through my mind at least 4 times within the last 30 minutes or so. And I was still like, is it the winter or summer solstice? I'm not sure. Either way, we also get a good idea of what time it is, in the year. We know what time it is. It is winter, right? It's near the end of the year. So that's just nice to know.
Yeah, it's an important piece of information. Without giving away too much, the passage of time is pretty significant in this series, so it gets established pretty early on, like what time of year it is. Mm-hmm.
I also like the kind of what they established with when Aang agreed to help out with the villagers, and he was like, I'll talk to Heibai. I'll talk to this thing that's been bothering you. And Katara was like, hey, can I see you for a second? Do you know how to do this? And Aang's like, I didn't have a teacher for this, so no.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Because we were talking about how Aang needs a teacher for like water bending and earth bending and fire bending. And that's cool and all, but then we're like, there's also this other aspect of being the Avatar that we have not addressed that Aang needs to figure out. And it's a good point. Aang has to figure out the spiritual aspect of being an Avatar. And there just is there's no established teacher for that. They don't seem to have that in their plans at all. So the kid's got to figure it out himself.
Yup. Outside of the main plot, obviously with Aang, we get some really good side stuff.
The fun plot.
I mean, yeah.
The fun plot.
I like it a lot better than the main plot, but that's just me.
You just hate Aang.
It's not true. Don't be mean.
No, she doesn't hate Aang.
Listen, if you were gonna have me rank the 10 characters with the most lines in the show.
Oh man, we could have a tier list for the characters in Avatar. We'll do that later. That might be
relatively low. But that doesn't mean I hate him. Just because everyone else is better doesn't mean he's bad.
No, I really enjoyed this little Iroh plot and Zuko hunting his uncle down. And, oh man, Iroh just being kind of a shit to these, but a very, very kind, gentle shit. He's such is such a jerk to all of them, and I love it. Starting off with, I'm just gonna, bathe naked in this random rock formation that I found. I found a little spring here, and I'm gonna heat up the water myself. And I don't know, Zuko, I know you're doing things. I know you're trying to win your father's love, but like a good nice bath is so nice. And then he falls asleep. Zuko's like, you got 30 minutes, come back. And I was like, yeah, I'll be there. Just like, everyone has that friend. I'll be there in 30 minutes.
The great General Iroh, Dragon of the West, self-care icon.
Falls asleep.
Yeah, but this plotline also like sprinkles in fun little bits of mystery and like world building without explanation. Like we've got Iroh bending just like with his breath, which is something that we have not seen before. And then he can see Aang on the dragon when they're in the spirit world, but no one else could see him. Like which is just like, what is happening?
Yeah, no, it was really cool that first of all, every single time we've seen bending up until now, maybe not every single time, but every time I remember, it looked like it was like a martial arts move. Everyone's in a stance. They're doing a move. They're usually using their arms and their feet, and they're striking and kicking and doing whatever, right? Iroh breathes through his nose. Well, I mean, he kind of holds his like fist and hand together. But it's just the breath. And I think he did say, like when he was like training Zuko, like fire comes through the breath. But we like see it in action twice. First he's heating his hot tub, self-care icon, and then he also heats his manacles and holds that one Earth Kingdom soldier's hand to it. And then after that, he's like chained, and I think he shoots fire through his feet at the like ostrich horse thing.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I'm just like, we don't see that much just like bending without really doing a like martial arts move from anybody. It was really cool. It's also a testament to how advanced Iroh is, and we get a good idea of his fighting style. He's not going to like, he's not going to be like Aang and speed around his enemies. He's not going to be like Zuko and kind of overpower them and do a cool breakdancing move. He's going to be clever. He's going to be kind of a minimalist with how he applies it, but very smart with the way he does it. And I mean, that kind of matches Iroh as a character. Just what we know about him. He's that older, wiser figure, and just like kind of the way he's been trying to train and teach Zuko this entire time.
The bit with Iroh breathing like smoke through his nose as firebending always makes me think of Harry Potter and like when they introduced the concept of really advanced wizards doing magic without wands.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, listen, I'm hesitant to compare things to Harry Potter even at this point, but I think that for a lot of people who were like in the target audience of Avatar when it came out were probably also in the target audience of Harry Potter. So it's a pretty easy comparison that I think a lot of people would probably get, is why I bring it up. But it just seems to me like most people, most of the theory, most of the practice has to do with learning specific moves and movements and just strategies and techniques to move your body to make your element do certain things.
Right.
And then the really advanced form is just kind of like doing it and embodying it.
Yeah, I feel like we can just kind of, to make up for the fact that we had to reference Harry Potter, we can tell Jowling, Cowling, Rowling that trans rights matter and move on. And
trans rights are human rights. TERFs can fuck off right now.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a similar concept where you need some kind of implement or some kind of motion to kind of transfer the magic, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But when you're an upper level, when you're an actual master at it, you can just do it. You don't need that implement. basically take your training wheels off, and you're really good at it.
Yeah, it's they're similar in that it's like really being in tune with whatever kind of internal, I don't know, quality or internal like feature that gives you your magic. Mm-hmm. Like in Avatar, they talk a lot about like being in tune with your chi.
Yeah.
And just being very introspective and self-aware makes you able to do these like super powerful, impressive techniques.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to get back to Iroh seeing Aang.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with this. Like, that has nothing to do with him being a good bender, doesn't seem like. That's just, like, what the fuck?
Because we literally just saw Katara, who I guess is Aang's second best friend in this world, and Appa, who is Aang's best friend in this world, not being able to see Aang. And then Aang is riding a dragon, a fucking dragon. We'll get back to that too. And they couldn't see him, but Iroh, in the midst of like this escort with these 3 or 4 Earth Kingdom dudes, was like, "What the fuck?" Iroh saw him, and I always loved that part, that little bit that Iroh, for some reason, could see Aang. But nobody else could.
I think it's easy to miss, especially like as a kid. I don't think I thought twice about it.
Yeah.
But now it's just such a fun, crazy mystery. Like the more you think about it, the more it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. How does that work?
Yeah.
Iroh is so cool.
I only noticed it, I think, like the third time I watched this show. I definitely didn't notice it the first time. Second time I was a bit older and I just didn't care. I was trying to get to the good fights. The third time I was like, wait a minute. But yeah, it's really cool. I really like that. And I don't have too much to say about it in the non-spoiler section, because a lot of the things I have to say about it are like speculative, and they kind of tie in other things that we learn later. Oh, and then the end of the episode was that they need to get to the Fire Nation to talk to Roku. Because Aang talked to the dragon. The dragon was like, yeah, Roku wants you to meet him at his statue in Fire Nation Island over here.
I'm just gonna like show you a picture of the island, and you're gonna have to figure out where that is on your map, buddy.
I wrote here within 24 hours of the Fire Nation, and I feel like I wouldn't write that unless that was actually supported by what we saw.
Yeah, because they have to like get there by the solstice, which is like tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
So whatever this village is very geographically close.
Within 24 hours of the Fire Nation, which, you know, Jesus, they went really close to the border. I'm actually, I'm surprised we saw more Earth Kingdom people than Fire Nation people. We did see that large swath of the land that was just burned to a crisp by the Fire Nation.
Yeah, this seems to be on the edge of the like colonies area.
There's probably just not much worth getting here. There's a small village of people. What's the point? Probably not on the way to Ba Sing Se. Like, who cares? Yeah,
like in Imprisoned, that was clearly a colonized town. There's a couple other episodes coming up this season where we're in colonized areas of the Earth Kingdom.
Yeah.
So that's just generally geographically where we are. But it's interesting to note how close kind of the tips of the Fire Nation archipelago must be.
Yeah.
To the borders of the Earth Kingdom.
Mm-hmm. What else? I had another thought. Oh, I wanted to talk about animal guides, which was just casually thrown out by Aang when the dragon came.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and the dragon came and scared the hell out of Aang and scared the hell out of 8-year-old me. I don't know how old I was when I first watched Avatar, and then it just stopped there and touched Aang with his little whisker.
You were 12.
I was 12.
2005.
Sure, I was. I believe that. I've never been 12 once in my life.
What?
Anyway, don't think about it. Just keep going with me. Aang said, "You're Roku's animal guide, like Appa is to me," which establishes a few things immediately. First of all, dragons exist and are animals, and this is not that unusual for Aang, I guess. Just okay, yeah,
cool, dragon.
You are Roku's Pikachu. Wow. right? Like, that's effectively the relationship between them.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and that also, it heavily suggests, right, that every avatar, or, multiple avatars, have animal guides also. It's just a thing. The avatars reborn, but so is their cute buddy. For Ash, it's Pikachu. For Aang, it's Appa. For Roku, it's the dragon. We actually didn't learn its name, I don't think. Yeah, I just said Ash is an avatar. And you just let that one go, too.
I'm ignoring it because I don't want to encourage you by trying to get you to argue it. Anyway, more questions than answers.
All I'm saying is Ash has control over several elements.
Oh my god.
He's got a bird type, so that bird flying, that's air, right? And then he had a Squirtle, the coolest Squirtle too. So there goes your water. Charizard, fire. See, it's a good earth type. I'm sure he had a ground type somewhere in there. Either way, Brock is Boomy.
If I just don't say anything, I'll run out of things to say and it will end.
Misty's Katara. Let's go. Let's keep going.
Oh, I mean, well, that's like, come on.
Let's move on.
You just took my favorite character from both of them and are like, yeah, they're the same. And I'm like, yes, I did like self-insert as both of those characters. Correct. Water bitch. That's me.
Let's keep moving.
What a tangent. I think the last note that I had in the non-spoiler section was just to quickly appreciate Zuko choosing to go after Iroh instead of chasing after Aang near the end of the episode.
It's true. He saw Appa, and I think it was Appa and Katara in the air, and Zuko had the option to either go after that sky bison or go after Iroh, and he chose his actual father over his fake father's love, maybe, right? Like, that's the actual choice. Yeah. Go after the avatar and get my biological terrible father's love, or go after the person that's actually been taking care of me and is my real daddy. So glad it was really nice to see that. I'm glad he didn't go after it would have been useless anyway. Katara didn't know where the hell Aang was.
Yeah, there's also an element of urgency.
Yeah.
Of like, Iroh needs me right now.
I'll find the avatar later.
We can go after the avatar after that.
That's true. Now, that said, knowing what we know about Zuko up to now, do we think those thoughts went through his mind?
I mean, I don't know that he has enough brain cells for that.
I don't think so either. I think he was like, Avatar dad, Avatar fine, but I'm going after the Avatar next time.
So that does kind of segue into my first nomination for the Golden Fuck.
Introducing the one, the only, the Golden Fuck.
For those of you new to the podcast, the Golden Fuck is a segment where we pretend that the show must follow the rules of a PG-13 film rating. So that means the characters can only use the word fuck exactly once before it gets elevated to rated R. So how this works is we each nominate a character and we argue when they should be allowed to say fuck and why. It's all in good fun and usually used for comedic effect. And we also take listener suggestions. So if you have a nomination, please let us know. You can find us on Twitter @SpoilersAreGood, and we look forward to hearing from you.
You have multiple nominations? Good, because I don't have good ideas. Go.
So my first nomination was to Zuko around this scene. I think that when he smells Iroh's stinky shoe, he should certainly get to say fuck. Because that seems like a horrible experience. That looks nasty as shit.
That scene was so good, by the way, because it was, first of all, we know from earlier that Iroh purposely dropped it so that he could be found and tracked. But it was a perfectly quiet, peaceful scene, more or less. Zuko looking around, and then he like picks up the shoe, and I just love the way they handled the sound, because They played the most urgent screeching noise for just a half second to show, yeah, it smelled exactly as bad as you think Iroh's feet would smell. But no longer than it needed to. It's beautiful. It just makes it feel like that sound, that like thing is kind of constantly emanating from like a half inch away from Iroh's foot at all times.
Oh my god.
And I really love that, and I agree with I agree with that one. That one, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be hard not to let out an expletive in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what did you have?
Oh. I mean, mine was, I remember that one guy who was stupid enough to touch hot metal. That guy. When Iroh said, my chains are too jangly, please tighten them. And they're like, yeah, very well. We'll do that for you. Stupid. You actually mentioned that, like, that actually is worse, right? Like,
well, yeah, something that you learn in, like, basic self-defense classes. I think it specifically applies to, like, zip ties, though. I don't know how much, like, metal handcuffs have this property. But if you have your hands bound, you want to get that shit as tight as possible, because it will give you more force and more tension to be able to like, break it and break yourself free.
Huh.
You're supposed to, like, put it over your head and come down and out.
Oh, okay.
And that'll break zip ties, but they gotta be real tight.
Okay. I didn't know that. But
yeah, I love being a woman. And just casually, like, feeling the need to know these things.
Rough.
But yeah, still kind of a dumb move. To accept, like, oh, please tighten my handcuffs. Like, fuck no. What are you fucking doing? No.
Iroh does pretty much the exact same technique that we saw with the hot tub. Heats up the metal so that it is red. The man, before he gets a chance to move his hand, gets his hand pressed to that hot metal. And I think that's a good fuck time. I'm not going to say that phrase again.
Yeah, no.
But like that's
I know what you mean, though.
That's a good time to say it. Yeah, and I think that's my only one. So if Jesse has another one,
I do have a second one.
Good, because the first one was better than mine already. So.
It also goes to Zuko. Right at the end, after he rescues Iroh from the Earth Kingdom soldiers, and they're all, like, knocked out, and they're getting ready to go, and Zuko, like, gets so annoyed and yells at Iroh, like, can you put on some clothes now? I think that line would be improved if he was able to say, put on some fucking clothes, uncle.
This is obviously the same run where Zuko, a few episodes earlier, said, I don't need any fucking tea, right? Like, we've established at this point that Zuko cusses at his uncle.
Oh my god. Right? Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I was leaning before to the shoe, but I like the continuity of now this is a Zuko bit where he just gets exasperated and tells his uncle, I don't need any fucking tea. Put on your fucking clothes. I don't care about fucking Pie's show. I don't want to go on a fucking date. Like, leave me the fuck alone. Yeah. That has potential.
It does. I like both of these. First of all, Zuko's gonna beat random Earthbender guard number 3. I don't think that we are in disagreement there. Okay. My personal opinion is that Shu Zuko wins, but that is just because I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that bit just a lot, and I do like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think within this episode, it's definitely the funnier moment. I just am a little torn. But I think that, like, you know, you vote Shu. My vote gets split in half between them. That's 1.5 to half a vote. Okay. So, like,
Shu wins.
Stinky Shu
wins, but it doesn't really matter because we're aiming to see who gets it, right? We only really care about who gets it, and so Zuko gets it. Yeah. If you disagree with us about, like, which Zuko moment, then, you know, yell at us on Twitter at what's the name of our podcast again?
What's the name of our podcast?
What's the name of our Twitter? Don't put that in. You're going to leave that in, aren't you?
Probably.
What's the name of our Twitter?
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at spoilersaregood. There's no actually on that because it would be too long of a Twitter name.
Oh.
But yeah, we have a whole Twitter. We really like to get your feedback there when we can, so please check us out and let us know what you think or if you have any nominations for the next Golden Fuck.
Excellent. Okay, that's all of our business in the non-spoiler section.
Yes, it is.
Goodbye, everyone that wants to only take half of the content that we have. So how are we starting on this? What's the first thing we're going to talk about?
Oh my god. So, like, I have two main things, like, areas of discussion that I want to talk about in the spoiler section. First being, like, Iroh backstory. Mm-hmm. Just his whole thing with the spirits and all the little things we learn about him. But then also, like, the weird fucky world building of the spirit world in this show and in Korra.
Yeah.
So we can go either of those directions to start.
Let's keep on going with Iroh. I enjoy talking about Iroh. We'll talk about the spirit world.
And I mean, it segues kind of naturally.
So, first of all, if you haven't watched Hello Future Me, please do. He has a really fun video about his theory about Iroh's fate and why Iroh is found in the spirit world in Legend of Korra. If you haven't watched it yet, in Legend of Korra, we see Iroh. He's in the spirit world. He's living his best life. It's very nice, actually. And it's actually, that scene is the one where I got the quote that's on my tattoo.
Yep.
It's fun. Either way. The theory is that, first of all, Iroh is one of very few characters that shows any connection or attachment to the spirit world, right? And one of those, we see an example of that when we see that Iroh watched Aang flying over him when he was captured by the Earthbenders. And the idea is that Iroh has been in the spirit world before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an easy assumption to make. And then I'm pretty sure Zhao confirms it, or, like, confirms that it's a rumor later in the season where he talks about just, like, Iroh's great, like, journey into the spirit world. Don't really get any more information than that, but...
and we know that I think it's confirmed also that Iroh went to the spirit world searching for his son, Lu Ten. After Lu Ten's death, he went searching for his son, and he went into the spirit world. Yeah, I mean, the main theory for why he can see the spirits is based on the idea that the Avatar is the Avatar because they are, like, fused with a spirit. And so, potentially, Iroh, when he was in the spirit world, had some kind of similar fusion with, a lesser spirit than the Avatar spirit. Right. But still, he has that connection. The spirit specifically was...
at least in the video we watched, the fox from the Great Library.
Correct, yes. That is the really bad summary of what Hello Future Me's video is. And I actually want to find the name of that video so that anybody listening can look it up, because I like the video. I love HFM's content, and I really, if I can accidentally send people over his way. It's called How Iroh Got into the Spirit World Theory, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra. If you find your way to Hello Future Me and you search up Iroh, you'll probably find it. It's not that hard.
Yeah, and just in general, we definitely recommend his Avatar content. It's good shit. He's much smarter than we are, I think.
He's also really cool and interesting. But yeah, so the spirit world gets it is
more to say about Iroh.
Oh, what do you want to say about Iroh?
Well, we just kind of casually dropped in this information about the Great Siege of Ba Sing Se, where he spent 600 days trying to penetrate the city.
Yeah.
And failed.
2 years of trying to get past China, the Great Wall, and he couldn't do it. He stopped when his son died. And I mean, anybody knowing who Iroh is knows that's a hell of a feat. That means that somebody, that means that the nation of Ba Sing Se was able to overcome the technological disparity that the Fire Nation has, along with having somebody of equal or better prowess as a general to Iroh, who, we don't actually see him as a general during this entire series, including in the fight including the final battle. But if he's anywhere near as clever on a larger scale as he is on the small scales that we see, it's impressive. Like, he is nothing to sneeze at. So it's thoroughly impressive that they couldn't find a way past the defenses of Ba Sing Se during that siege.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like the theory that he was maybe conflicted or throwing it on purpose or stalling because he was
internal
having this
conflict.
Internal struggle about if he even believed in the war at all, and kind of realized what he was doing was wrong. There's absolutely no evidence for that besides that Iroh is generally a good person as we know him. But
yeah,
I enjoy holding that headcanon theory.
It's true.
But it's completely just out of my ass. It's not.
We have been playing around with the fan fiction of Iroh, just an idea of it. And, I'm sure a lot of it is already canonized. I know there's a book about just Iroh's life story or whatever, but
yes, we need to get that, honestly. It's the second one of the Avatar Legacy series. The first one was Aang to his children, and the second one is Iroh to Zuko. And it's just got a bunch of letters.
Yeah.
That he writes to Zuko, and a bunch of short stories and anecdotes and pictures. And it's really cute.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
Probably the thing that I hate the least out of the entire post-canon.
But yeah, because Iroh's life is thoroughly interesting. It is one of the most interesting things that we don't really fully explore in the series. We know he becomes a Grand Lotus. We know that he was first in line to be the Fire Lord, and he didn't get his spot. We don't know exactly how he reacted to that. We know that he had a wife who had a son who he loved dearly, and that wife is
almost certainly dead.
She probably died when Lu Ten was born, because we hear almost nothing of her, despite the fact that we hear a lot about Lu Ten, right? It implies that she just wasn't in the picture for a long time.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't love giving women died in childbirth stories, but I think it's the only thing that makes sense in this case.
Yeah,
I didn't do that though. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Bryke did.
He became a general in the Fire Nation army, to the point where he was the person in charge of the siege of Ba Sing Se. He got the title of Dragon of the West. He met Shin and Ra, the dragons that teach Aang and Zuko, and I think he was the last one to have met them. So, he met them, said he killed the last dragon, and got the title Dragon of the West, and came back and kept that secret. There's a lot of really cool shit after the series. He goes to the spirit world. If we go with the theory that Hello Future Me had, that we just kind of outlined, he met Wan Shi Tong. He took the place of one of the foxes. There's a lot of really cool backstory for Iroh that we don't explore at all, and I think that'd be a really cool story. But that's our fan fiction idea. Don't take it unless you're really good at writing, and you can. Yeah, I'm not going to stop you if you take it.
There's just so much to explore, both in the incredible feats and plot points of his life, and also just in the character story of growing up and unlearning the bullshit he was raised in, and so much just internal conflict and making yourself do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. He's such an interesting character to explore more. I mean, a lot of what's great about it is the mystery. Mm-hmm. So while I want to know more, I am hesitant to say that I want, like, the new Avatar studios to make a prequel on him.
Right.
Partially because I don't trust them. And partially just because I think it's better off as, like, fan theories than having anything canonized. But
yeah. And that's a good way for us to segue into the spirit world, because part of the fun of it is that it's mysterious and kind of inconsistent. It's also it also bothers me a little bit, but like we can keep talking on that more. We don't really know how exactly you're supposed to get into the spirit world, what exactly you need to do, who you need to be, what the spirit world looks like, how it's shaped or structured, or even what spirits, like, it's not consistent what the spirits are supposed to look like either. There's a lot of weird things, and it changes from time to time. Like, yeah,
just within the series, you've got this episode where it's just some ghosts existing in the regular world at the same time,
maybe
basically.
Because of the solstice, right? Like, yeah. We can point that to the solstice.
That's true. But then you have other instances where Aang goes into the spirit world and it's just this random fucking forest that's different than the place that they're at.
Talking about in the finale of season 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also just he then has the ability to, like, convene with his past Avatar spirits, which it always bothers me every time. Why on earth do they have to go on the solstice to this temple to talk to Roku when a season later he can just do it whenever he wants, just by meditating?
When does he do this? Hold on. I have a thought. I don't know if I want to explore it right now.
I mean, I feel like it's mostly season 3.
Yeah. I have a thought, and I will come back to it later because I'm not certain on it.
Yeah, I think for now I mostly just want to chalk it up to, like, Aang's spiritual growth. It's harder now, so he needs these, like, outside forces for him.
Yeah, he gained spirit levels.
He levels up.
He leveled up in spirit. He did the chakra thing. Like, he's much better. And then the spirits themselves are always kind of weird and interesting and different. But then we go to Korra.
And then it's not fun, mysterious inconsistencies. Then it's just, I'm going to ignore everything that we established about this concept in the original series. Now there's fucking portals that we can walk through, and these spirits just look like black blobs. Like, we can spirit bend. I hate it so much. I hate season 2 of Korra. Sorry. So
Korra doesn't perfectly handle spirits.
Oh my god. No. We're not doing this. I'm not going to sit here and be like the emotional upset one, and then you get to come in and be all like calm and collected and intellectual when I know you are just as angry about it as I am.
I'm very frustrated by it. I don't get why they do it that way. Because, yeah, there are points where the spirits are just like weird blobs that just kind of like you can waterbend a spirit thing around them in the same way that they had like that one Pokemon thing, like Pokemon Safari, where like on the DS you drew circles around a Pokemon. Oh man, you didn't know about this, huh?
I'm just tired of you bringing up Pokemon.
Oh, it's like a Pokemon Ranger or some shit like that.
Oh my god.
You gotta get into Pokemon, Jesse.
I am into Pokemon.
You're not a real Pokemon fan like I. Oh no! Don't attack me! I'm sorry.
Excuse me, I pre-ordered the new Pokemon Snap out April 30th. And I'm gonna do nothing but play that shit for like 3 days, and it's gonna be amazing. Don't you tell me I don't like Pokemon.
But yeah, so it's strange, and they did things that just feel at odds with with what we know of the spirit world, and it feels like the only rule that they like actively kept in between the two series was you can't bend in the spirit world, and they did that specifically to break it with the portals so that you could bend in the spirit world. I'm not a huge fan of the Ravavatu thing.
Jafar Vitar.
Not a huge fan of Jafar Vitar. No, hold on. No, Jafar Avatar is different. That's
I know.
the firebending Avatar.
I knew as soon as I said it that it was different. But, like, evil Avatar.
Yeah,
he should be called Jafar Avatar. Janir Vatar?
Oh.
Jafar Vatar?
Stop.
Wherever you are, Vatar?
This is what I get. Yeah, so... But the spirit world is interesting. It's really cool. I like it. I wish that they had... I don't know. What do I want? I want them to make it intentionally... no rules, I guess. Like, it felt like they wanted to establish some real rules in Korra, and those rules kind of weren't quite... They didn't quite match with what we knew in The Last Airbender, and I didn't like that as much. I like this idea that, like, we can only sometimes go into the spirit world. I like the idea that, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to describe exactly.
In the original series, it's very, like, spiritual, and it's kind of unclear and mysterious and based in this concept of, like, meditation and belief and, like, some kind of, like, unknowable magic.
Right.
And there's, like, a couple established rules, but mostly it's just, like, some weird fucking magic shit. And it's okay that we don't know the rules because we're just stupid fucking humans. Yeah. And that to me makes sense, and that to me is compelling.
No, I feel like I think I get what you're saying, because it feels like in the original series.
Okay.
Fuck you. Oh no, that's not him. It can't be him.
It's definitely not the guy on the scooter making that noise.
What the fuck is this? I want to say fuck you to somebody. Yeah, I really like the fact that in the original series, it's treated almost like a religion, kind of getting to the spirit world. It's got that kind of connotation where you've got to have faith, you've got to believe, you've got to kind of, master your inner self, and there's a lot of those kinds of connotations. It's not exactly the same because the series itself is very agnostic as far as religion goes, but in Korra, it feels like we removed a lot of that. For one thing, Korra was still not particularly good at the spiritual aspect of being the Avatar when she went into the spirit world. And we mainly addressed it with what felt like brute force. Just being a better bender than the spirits are.
Yeah, Korra took the concept of spirits from, like, angels and gods to they're just ghosts.
Yeah.
And they're mean ghosts sometimes because the evil is corrupting them.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so annoying.
I think that's the best way to describe it. There's something about it that I still can't quite put into words, but I do have an issue with kind of the difference in the way the spirits are addressed between the two series. But yeah, I think that's all I really had to say on the spirits. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to say?
No, I mean, I think we've covered all the main points of this episode pretty well.
Okay, and then next episode's going to be with Avatar Roku. This is going to be a big one. I'm very excited about next episode. Definitely one of my favorites.
Great. So that's all we have today for Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 1, Chapter 7, Winter Solstice, Part 1, The Spirit World. We hope you'll join us next time when we talk about Book 1, Chapter 8, the second part of the Winter Solstice, Avatar Roku. Until then, you can find us on Twitter @SpoilersAreGood.
And remember, just because it's spoiled doesn't mean it's rotten. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Especially since it was established, was it last episode, that hangs on something of a timeline?
No.
No? Damn. This can't go in the non-spoiler section.
No, it cannot. That's next episode.
That's next episode.
Anyway.
Yeah.